Good evening and welcome to Biggleswade Town Council. I'd like to inform everyone present that this meeting will be filmed and live streamed to YouTube. By your presence, you're deemed to have consented to be filmed and to the use of those images and sound recordings. Can I please request that when councillors and members of the public are speaking, not to disclose any personal information of an individual, as this might infringe the rights of that individual and breach data protection rules. This is a formal town council meeting and members of the public will be given the opportunity to speak during public open sessions, but will not be permitted to speak at other times. Thank you. So we have two apologies for absence, Councillor Pullinger and Councillor Grant-Fage. Do we have any declarations of interest, please? None? Thank you. Right, well, I have two announcements. The first is to say that I attended a sod cutting ceremony on the 3rd of February. Tritax Symmetry, who brought the co-op to Biggleswade, are now building 4 more units on Stratton Business Park, and I was invited to the sod cutting ceremony, although the groundworks are quite advanced due to the good weather this winter. Tom Leeming of Tritax, who previously spoke to council about the co-op, will be our guest speaker at our next meeting to update council on this new project. The other thing I wish to talk about is the neighbourhood plan. I'm delighted that our neighbourhood plan was finally submitted to Central Bedfordshire Council yesterday, along with the consultation statement, a basic conditions statement. That means that the plan is compliant with legislation. The Biggleswade Green Infrastructure Plan, the Biggleswade Town Centre Master Plan, and a map of the neighbourhood plan area, which is effectively the parish boundary. Council approved the plan on the 25th of January, and I had hoped that it would be submitted the following day. However, there were GDPR issues to sort out since CBC asked for contact details for all those who had responded to the Regulation 14 consultation, so that CBC could contact them about the Regulation 16 consultation, which they will conduct over the next few weeks. There was also an issue about a new first homes requirement in planning practice guidance. This is from the government, and the first homes requires 25% of affordable homes to be first homes. Central Bedfordshire were concerned that we did not have a statement about first homes in the neighbourhood plan. However, our consultant, Dave Chetwin, having spoken to CBC, advised that inclusion of first homes is not a binding requirement in terms of meeting the basic conditions, and the addition of such a policy would need evidence on housing need and viability to be commissioned, and a repeat of the Regulation 14 consultation, which would delay the neighbourhood plan by some 4 to 5 months. He further advised that Central Bedfordshire should take the lead on first homes through the local plan process, and recommended that our neighbourhood plan should be submitted. We now wait to hear that the Regulation 16 consultation has gone live, and for the possible arrangements for the examination by a planning inspector. Obviously, I'll keep council updated. So I'm moving on to public open session. Do we have any members of the public online? I can't see any. Okay, nobody's raised their hand. Do you wish to speak? No, thank you. Okay, I'm moving on. Our invited speaker should have been Lisa King, our community agent, but she's had to drop out. She has sent some information that's been circulated to councillors, and we hope that she'll be able to attend at a future meeting. I'm now moving on to members' questions. Do I have any members' questions, please? Councillor Knight, please.
Thank you. I'm not sure if we're standing up, so I will be on the safe side. So on Saturday, in response to an invitation from a concerned neighbour, Councillor Bond and I visited a derelict industrial site that's less than half a mile from Baden-Powell Way. When we got there, the buildings on the site aren't secure. I think they're in a very dangerous condition, and we were made aware that children are playing on the site. So I think it needs to be made secure before there's some sort of tragedy there. So I just wanted to make sure that all members were aware of that situation. And may I request that we have a brief informal discussion after this evening's formal meeting, so we can just talk about how to proceed with that, please.
Okay. Did you wish to say anything? Okay, thank you. I'm on to minutes and recommendations of meetings. Oh, sorry, Councillor Woodhead.
I appreciate I wasn't here at the previous council meeting, but I'm just picking up on the fact about the withdrawal of recycling material, for want of a better phrase, from Biggleswade Town Council. There's been a lot of pushback locally from residents questioning the decision, and personally, I mean, I've been told some of the reasons the logic of that decision, and I hope that we can push back and ask Central West to provide the material. It seems, you know, if you want to boost our recycling rates locally, this has got to be a good way to do it, rather than actually, you know, rely on first carbon footprint of things being delivered locally and all the rest of it. Get it delivered here, people come on foot, they'll collect it, and it'll boost recycling, quite very locally recycling.
I'm not sure that was a question.
It was whether we could push back and whether we could ask them to review their decision. That was my question.
So we could ask the clerk if he would find out what exactly the issue was. Councillor Foster. Yes, look, can we just, as an aside, can we agree tonight that we won't stand, but that the issue of standing or not, it's a standing order issue and it will be put on the next agenda of the Town Council. Can we do that, please? Okay, so you do not need to stand tonight.
Thank you. Bearing in mind the community agent, who unfortunately couldn't be with us, we always used to advertise the community agent every month in the bulletin. And that was the one area where we could make all of the people in Biggleswade that are not online aware of the services that the community agent could offer. Now we don't have the bulletin, and I'm hoping, and this is a question, can the town clerk please confirm whether or not the bulletin will be carrying on advertisement in the future?
I'm delighted to be able to confirm we have re-engaged with the bulletin and we will be using them in the future.
Thank you.
Any other members' questions? Okay, we've got the minutes of our last meeting. So the minutes start on page 5 of the pack. I'm going through for accuracy to start with. So anything on page 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So may they be signed as a correct record, please?
Move it.
Thank you. So I'm going on to matters arising. Are there any matters arising on page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, or page 11? Sorry, page 10, go on.
I can't find it on these pages of these minutes, but Mr. Reynolds raised the query and we said that we would write to the medical group about having a consultation with the parties involved. Has that happened, and have we had any response?
Go on. Yes.
I think Councillor Ramsey, are you referring to the GP practices? Is that the question you're talking about? Yeah, so I need to re-engage with those practices. I'll be phoning the surgeries and speaking to the senior partners. That's on my list of things to do this week. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else from the minutes, colleagues? Okay, I'm moving on. Items for consideration. The National Association of Local Councils consultation briefing on Ofcom postal regulations. So comments, please, colleagues. Nobody's saying anything. Do we just want to note this? Yes, note it. Okay, thank you. And then Central Bedfordshire's Village Halls and Community Buildings Survey. So the Town Council has responded to the survey about the Orchard Community Centre. Is there anything else that anybody wishes to add to that survey? No? Shall I move on then? Are we happy to move on? Thank you. So we don't have Councillor Pullinger here, so I've lost it. Is it Councillor Thomas? Councillor North. Sorry, Councillor North. Would you like to present the accounts?
Well, the accounts are as set out here for members to peruse and look at. So I propose that we accept all these as stated.
Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you. All those in favour of accepting the accounts? Thank you very much. Okay, we're on to planning applications, and the first one is 19A High Street. Councillor Knight.
Thank you. So as the papers suggest, we last looked at this site when the applicant applied for a change of use in July last year. And at that point, we were strongly opposed to that on a number of grounds. Looking at the fresh application, this doesn't appear to mention change of use, but it is clearly for a pizza restaurant / takeaway. But the primary focus of this application appears to be the extraction facilities. So I'm puzzled why we're not seeing a change of use, given it's clearly going to, the proposal is for it to be a food establishment. But anyway, I'm concerned by the proposal as set out to install the extraction facilities that are outlined, primarily because the property immediately above the site is residential. And it's flats above and to both sides. So I'm concerned about the potential smell from the extractor fans, but of course also the noise. So I would like to propose that we refer to our previous objection, but stressing our concern at the proposal to install extraction facilities and the noise and aroma that would cause or affect on adjoining residential flats.
Do I have a second for that? Thank you. Any more comments, Councillor Strawn?
Just a question, do we know whether the planning permission for the change of use has been granted?
Because I think if it hasn't been granted, that's another reason to object. It's actually presuming that the grant is going to be made. So I think there's a different approach depending on whether it's already granted. If it has been granted, then we may have to be looking at how the extraction plan works. But without knowing that first question, I think we should be saying, well, there's no plan change to use anyway. That's the case.
Sorry, if I may come back, I failed to explain, the applicant withdrew their application for change of use last year. So that was not granted.
So with respect,
I think we ought to be adding that there is no change of use, therefore there's no need for an extraction fan, full stop.
So we're not aware that there's an application at all at the moment, apart from this about.
I checked today, there are no other applications for that address as of today.
Okay, so the proposal is that we object, we bring forward the reasons that we objected for before, but say there doesn't appear to be a planning application for all that at the moment, just for the extraction, and we object to that because of the noise and smell for the residential properties. Councillor Bond.
I'm not going to obviously pass comment on this, but the fact it says it's before it was Class E. If you actually look at Class E is actually, it's a massive selection. So really, it's lots of mixed use. So I think you've got to bear in mind that they might actually have a sufficient class and not actually require it. So I think it needs to be looked into. I think the whole point is obviously you're objecting on these terms, and I think it just sticks to that. The odds are they probably don't need it.
Okay, well, that doesn't stop us saying what we have said, does it? Okay, so all those in favour of responding on the basis that was outlined, thank you, I think that's unanimous. So B is 29 Osprey Road, erection of a fence 1 metre high. Any comments? Subject to neighbours? Thank you. And then 212 London Road, proposed single-storey rear extension, second floor side extension. Subject to neighbours? Okay, thank you. So we're on to items for information and twinning with Erlensay. And I think Councillor Woodhead, you wanted to update council.
Yeah, just I in my, I think, council appointed role as a twinning representative, I attended the AGM of the Twinning Association last week, I think it was. And basically, I just wanted to report back that I'd been, and it was a very useful discussion and a reasonable turnout for members. But there is going to be a little bit of a shift in terms of, I guess, the relationship of the twinning group. They're going to move away from being a twinning association in the formal sense, with officers and all the rest of it, to more of a kind of twinning group in a slightly more informal way, which partly reflects, I think, the membership, partly reflects the sort of the way that the twinning relationship has evolved over the past sort of 20 or so years. So it will still be, they're still very keen to maintain the links of Erlensay and all the rest of it. And clearly COVID has sort of hampered a lot of the things that I think that the group wanted to do over the past couple of years, and you know, travel restrictions and, you know, the exchanges and all the rest of it. So I can understand how that's sort of taken the wind out of the sails a little bit in terms of planning. But and I think the reason I'm reporting this back to council, because I know that the council signed the charter with the Twinning Association originally, and there may be a tweak or two that needs to come back from them. They're gonna find out what the sort of national situation is, if you see what I mean, with the National Association of Twinning Groups and with Erlensay. And so I'm hoping I'll bring a sort of more formal paper or more formal update in due course about that. But it's really just going to be a slight change in relationship to being a little bit more informal rather than the very structured association that there's been up to now, and there'll be a bit of a reboot on social media and those kind of things. So it's something I know the group is very keen to maintain and pursue, but it may be done in a very slightly different way, really, I think, from the past. So happy to take any questions, but that was kind of the main outcome, really, of the AGM last week.
So we should wait and hear from the Twinning Association formally about what's to happen.
Yeah, that's what I asked them. I said I would report back verbally to because I think the council needed to know, and I want to do it quite quickly after the AGM. But I've asked them in due course if they can, even if it's just on an email or something, that what the course of action is going to be, so I can share that with colleagues and we can note that and see if there's anything we need to do as a town council in terms of recognising that relationship or looking at that going forward. So it's kind of where it is at the moment. So I don't think substantively it will change anything, but I just wanted to be sure, because I'm aware, obviously, we were one of the signatories of the charter, and whether anything that would need to change or whatever. So I was just, you know, covering all the bases. But I think they're very happy to maintain, obviously, that relationship and keep on pursuing it. But clearly COVID has sort of hampered a lot of things, which is really kind of it's kind of slowed things down in a way that perhaps they hadn't wanted to do. So
Okay, thank you. Any comments from anybody? Councillor Strawn?
I was just wondering, are there any proposals for any exchange visits or anything with Erlensay in the foreseeable future, the next year or so, or is that still likely to continue?
Yes, I think there's still a keenness to sort of have that exchange, and but both formally with people from the council and Erlensay, as well as sort of citizens and so on. But it's been so hard, I think, to predict ahead what with all the travel changes and everything else like that sort of, I haven't quite got as far ahead in that respect, I think, as they wanted to. So they wanted to get the governance and the arrangements of the association group, whatever it ends up being called, sorted out, and then, you know, sort of relaunching that a little bit, I guess, with future visits and stuff. So nothing in the diary, but I will keep everyone posted if I hear about anything.
And presumably the people in Erlensay will need to agree to whatever's changes there are. Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is a thank you letter. Note it. Okay, thank you. Public open session. If any members of the public electronically want to speak, will they raise their hands? And I think Mr. Reynolds, yes. I don't think we've got your microphone today. Oh, wait a minute.
I'm referring to the topic of Bond's Lane. It's good to see the development, but do we have any guarantees from central beds or developers that they are going to do something with that road? Because it's more full of potholes than tarmac. It really is a disgrace. And I haven't yet been able to find out whether or not we are going to have funding, because that road really needs to be completely redone. Needs new drainage. And I'm knowing central beds, that will just get left, and we'll have the usual two blokes with a bucket of asphalt around filling up holes.
Okay, can I ask Councillor Bond to find out whether that's part of the planning permission, because they may need to be making good the road, and if not, when it might be scheduled into Central Bed's programme, and then we can report back. Okay.
And secondly, in Bond's Lane, there's still about 7 contractors' refuse bins. There's about 15 5-gallon drums, empty drums of cooking oil dumped on the road. I mean, come on, isn't there something we can do about this? It just spoils the town. Every time we walk down there, you look at the road, you look at the stuff that's left on it. And it's just a magnet. Somebody will start trying mattresses down there soon. You know, it's just a magnet.
Okay, well, we'll see what we can find out from Central Beds on that. It's not something that's within the remit of the town.
I'm sure there are spaces, because there's all the shops along there. There must be spaces for these refuse bins. And they're just lazy. I've said before, I'd like to leave all my bits on the road, but you know, I want to get away with it.
I understand the point you're making. Thank you very much. Thank you. I can't see anybody online, so is anybody wishing to speak? No.
Please raise their hand.
Okay, thank you. Well, in that case, we've come to the end of the meeting, I think in 25 minutes. Long may this last.
Just end it here.